Welcome to Between the Chapters, Family Coffee and Conversation. Today, I have a very special guest, and I'm super excited about it. He happens to be my neighbor and an awesome writer, and I can honestly say that because I've started reading one of his books, and I'm already hooked. Welcome to the show, Jim. Would you like to
Hey.
just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so it's so fun because we can see each other from our decks, so it's so fun to have that in common. We moved here to this area where Heidi Jo and I share a neighborhood 10 years ago, and we absolutely love it here. Grew up in the Western Washington part of the state
Okay. And
and have
can you
two.
tell us where that was? I don't know if how much you share about yourself, but
Yeah, so I grew up in Seattle until I was eight
okay.
years old, then moved
Okay.
to Spokane for 6 years,
Oh,
in
okay.
yeah, early teen years, and then back to the Seattle area in Kirkland when I was 14, and then got married, and my wife and I lived 24 years in the Woodinville area, and then again, like I
Okay.
said, came here 10 years ago.
Wow, so you literally have covered the state because now you're
Yeah,
in Central Washington. You've
I have.
basically done the gamut. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
both ends and now in the middle. Yeah, exactly.
You could honestly tell people how awesome it is.
I can, all corners.
So, you have two boys.
Yes, so I have two sons, and like my
Okay,
bio
they're
says,
adults. Sorry.
they are adults. Yes, they're adults. And in my official bio says James L. Rubart is a 28-year-old trapped inside an older man's body. So it's very strange to be 28 years old and have a 33-year-old and a 30-year-old son.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's a little different.
yeah,
But
so yeah,
I was reading your bio and I thought, because I've had the privilege to know you first,
yes, right,
and then look at you as a writer, which we commented not that long ago how funny it was that we've never actually talked about writing.
right. Two
We've
writers
done
that have never really
trivia,
done
we've done competitions, we've had conversations. Um, no, so I found it really fascinating. When I was reading your bio, I thought, yeah, that fits, Jim. You're a go-getter. So is your wife. You're both like just movers and shakers. So yeah, I thought that was good.
it. Thanks. Yeah.
So tell me, a lot of people will ask me, like, how did you get into writing? Why writing? What's writing about? I know my answer. What did you always feel you were a writer, or was there a moment where you were like, oh my gosh, this is definitely who I am?
That is such a great question, and it was two parts. The first part was my mom bought my sister and I for Christmas one year the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh,
And I was
such a
probably
great
11.
series.
Oh, such a great series. And those books changed my life in many ways, but I read those books and was just absolutely captured. And
Mhm.
that's that moment where Edmund realizes, oh my gosh, Aslan is Jesus, and I can
Mm,
know you in this world. It was like I went into my mom. I think Aslan is Jesus. Aslan is Jesus. And so again, those books just took me places I never imagined I could go. And so I'm 11 years old, and I said at that point, someday I want to try to do for others what
mm.
Lewis has done for me. So the
Oh, that's
dream
super
was
cool.
born. Yeah, the dream was born when I was 11 years old, but a number of things happened that really took me out and made me think I could not write, and I did not have the ability. Right,
I'm
the enemy.
laughing because I recognize that in myself. Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so that's one thing I want to say to anybody watching this that has that doubt. That is the enemy trying to destroy your
absolutely.
destiny. And you go, no, not going to listen to that. But I listened to that
Hmm.
for so many years, and I dabbled in writing. I dabbled, but I never put anything out there. I never tried to do anything more than dabble and write a few short stories. And then it was 2001, spring
Okay.
of 2001. And Darcy says, "Oh, the Lord has called me to go on a fast."
Mm.
Oh, okay. What for? I don't know. Well, how long are you going to do it? Well, until I get the answer. What's the
Good
question?
answer.
What's the question? I don't know. All right, have fun. And so 24 hours later, I said, "So Darcy, did you get the answer?" No. What's the question again? I don't know. How long are you going to do it? Until I get the answer. Okay. 48 hours goes by. Same response. I don't know. And as we got halfway through day three, the Spirit speaks so clearly to me. Jim, I have given you the
Mm.
desire. I have given you the ability. When are you going to step into your destiny?
Yeah, amen.
And I turned to Darcy and I said, "Oh my gosh, I know why you're fasting.
Mm,
I I need to be a novelist."
mm,
And so Darcy, she was driving. I can still picture it like it happened yesterday. She's
yeah.
driving. I'm in the passenger seat, and she turns to me and she goes, "Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. I'm hungry for 3 days, and you get the answer."
Well,
Uh,
you are one. You know,
we are
you're
one.
one.
That's true. We are one. We are one. And so Heidi Jo, that's at the point where I said, "Okay, I've got to step into this full force,
Mhm.
throw off my fear. The Lord has
Yeah.
spoken to me. Time to dive in."
Yeah.
So
And
that's
so what were you doing work-wise before that?
so I had an ad agency.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. So I had an ad agency, and it's so funny. You look back, and
Hmm.
in a sense, I was writing all the time, right? I was
Right.
writing ads, radio ads, TV ads,
Yep.
website copy. But it wasn't
It
stories
was.
in my mind. It was
Right.
different. But if you look at the ability, I definitely honed my ability to write.
Right.
It
Absolutely.
got sharper and better doing this ad copy, and I
Mhm.
never saw it. The Lord was preparing me for this step into being an author, and I didn't see it except in retrospect.
Okay, so that's really fascinating to me because, okay, so I taught English, history, and government and other things, but
Hmm.
mostly English and history for like 20, 21 years, and taught a lot of writing. And so I'm so used to having a student, I always had them write a piece of writing in their own handwriting. There's a couple reasons. One, so they couldn't cheat. I knew their handwriting, but
Yeah,
because I was really quick to read their voice in their writing. And so
yeah,
having you share, and so I can't help it. The moment I start reading something, I'm kind of teacher first. So
sure.
I was
Yeah.
reading and I was like, okay, I can totally see Jim in his writing. I can
Oh,
but now that you say that you did advertisement, I'm like, whoa, I can see that in your writing. Um,
interesting.
how
Yeah,
you use there's you use like short phrases, I mean, you do a
yeah.
really good job. You got short phrases, long, whatever. And I don't know if you intentionally think to create all that as you're writing or if it just comes out. But I was like, okay, but now that you say you worked in the advertising world, I'm like, well, that even makes more sense for
Yeah,
put those things together. It's fascinating. Yeah,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that so much.
yeah,
So you start writing,
yeah.
um, and it's 2001. What was the first thing you did?
So I prayed about it and I said, "Lord, what story do you want me to write?" Because, like I say, I had little ideas and snippets, and I had started a story that literally was 2 paragraphs. That's all I'd done. So, but it was a fascinating idea, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And what it came from is when I was a kid, there was this little pamphlet called My Heart, Christ's Home.
Mm,
And the idea behind it is when we choose to follow Jesus, he comes into our heart and he looks at the various rooms in our heart. Goes into the kitchen, goes into the rumpus room. That's what we used to call it when I was a kid.
right, like
Uh,
the family room, is
I guess
that
the
what that
bonus
would be?
room.
The
I don't know
bonus
what
room?
you call it.
I
Yeah,
remember Rumpus Room. I remember the name.
the library. He'd go into the all these various rooms, and I thought, and it was really powerful for me. And so for years, I'd thought, if you blew that idea up on steroids and you took a little bit of It's a Wonderful Life and you took a little bit of The Matrix and you took a little bit of The Family Man and you took a little bit of actually a lot of my own life and mixed it up in a bowl,
Yeah.
you would come out with a really powerful story. And
Mhm.
so for 4 years, I wrote Rooms, my first novel.
Okay, which is
And
the one I'm starting to read right
yeah,
now.
yep, yep, that was my first novel. And so many people say, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the most unique novels I've ever read." And in my mind, it's like, well, it's not that unique. I just took all this stuff, from here and here and here and mixed it together and out it came. But that's what I want to say to writers. You have a filter, you have a perspective that no
Mhm.
one else has. And so it's, that's been done before. No, not through your filters, it hasn't been done
Right.
before. So of course you're never going to plagiarize. But as far as stealing ideas, absolutely. Absolutely. You'll finish the novel, Heidi Jo, and you'll go, well, Jim didn't steal anything, but I can see the influence of It's a Wonderful Life. I can see
Mhm.
the influence of this. So it's taking all these ideas and putting them through your perspective that makes it authentic and real to people.
I'm actually super excited that I'm starting your first book. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know because I haven't, I mean, I looked at a list of your books and I just was like, well, this looks interesting. So I just started, I read the back and I like the cover. So,
Yeah.
people say all the time, oh, it's the book isn't the cover. I'm like, oh, but it is. You
Yeah.
know, if you want somebody to grab it up and go, that I would read that book just because of the cover. And I remember my brother-in-law saying that when he looked, I don't think he's ever read my work. He might have, who knows.
Yeah.
But he looked at the cover of my book, The Knights Revealed, and he goes, oh, I would read it just for the cover. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, job done. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You
didn't
did.
create that cover, so it wasn't my brilliance, but yeah, so I'm interested. So I was reading the first part of that, your book Rooms, and my brain is already going to all kinds of different places, and I'm like, oh, I think I've got an idea on some
Yeah.
things. And you probably do the same thing because writers, we have the ability to see things that people
Yeah.
miss.
Yes.
And so, example, and maybe you have this too. My kids, we would watch them. They're not kids anymore; they're adults. But when they were kids, we would be watching a movie, and my boys would turn to me and go, "What's going to happen?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just watching it for the first time with you. They go, "Yeah, but I know you know what's going to
Yeah,
happen."
you have ideas.
So
Exactly.
I'm excited to be shocked, and I'm excited for the twists and turns. I can tell it's going to have a lot of them, and so I'm excited for that. But so I have another question for you. So I get a ton of books. God will just download story ideas in me. Like sometimes it feels like, Lord, slow down. I can't keep up. Do you get multiple story ideas, and how do you handle that when you are writing on a project?
That is such a great question because yes, I do get ideas all the time. And for me, fortunately, it's been a fairly simple process where one of the ideas is
Mhm.
just sticks up a little bit higher than the others.
Okay.
And so it's like, yeah, I like, ooh, that's my favorite. And
Mhm.
so that's my simple process of going, all right,
So do you write down those other ideas you had just in case they come up later?
yes, absolutely. And
Hmm.
all I have to do is write down a line and I know what it's going to be about. I had this idea pop into my brain. What if there was, I wouldn't exactly call it a bar, but what if it was, let's call it a bar.
Okay.
And in this particular bar, in the story idea came to me sip of time. So what if you were in this bar and you took a sip of this drink and depending on how much you sipped, it took you back in time certain
Oh,
amounts. Right?
that's a fun
So
thought.
it's like, ooh, that's a fun. Who owns this bar? How do they do that? What's it all about?
Right.
So it's like, all right, and I put that aside and I don't do
Hmm.
anything, but it's there, right?
It's there
And
always.
it's there. Yeah,
Yeah, and I get that. I usually write a lot more than that. I call it my preface book. They started out, just like almost just spiral binder, but now I have them actually in books because I'm like, I don't want to have the pages tear out.
yeah, right.
I and so sometimes I have to write, I'll get full chapters in my head,
Yeah.
and I might even get the epilogue or
Oh, no
the
kidding.
whole last line of the book, but
Okay.
I know I'm not supposed to be working on that right now. But like
Right,
you,
right.
once I move it to the side, then I don't have to think about it because I don't
Yeah,
worry. My brain isn't worried I'm going to lose it because
right.
I know I can read that and instantly I'm like, oh, I'm right back in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's such a
exactly.
fascinating thing. I've never had this conversation with, well, just a couple of different writers, but it's so cool because most people don't understand that.
Right. It's a world where they just,
It is
yeah,
so different. This is how I explained it. Tell me if this makes sense to you. I told people, I said, sometimes it's like you're living your regular, oh, this is what I was talking about. So, do you get so caught up in your writing that sometimes it's hard to come into the natural world at say lunchtime, dinner. Oh, we've got an outing. Do you have a hard time pulling yourself out of that world?
It is yes, it is a shift because I am fully immersed in that world. You probably get this. You're fully
Yeah.
immersed in this world. And I know some authors, I would love to be able to listen to music and write, and I just can't do it because
Mm,
I know it can be inspiring. Because for me, any distraction on the outside
okay.
interrupts my flow. So I am just in my cocoon. And as you can see, this is my office. Right behind me is my recording studio. So I do my recording here, I do my writing here, I do my business
Hmm.
here. This is my world, which is really smart for Darcy and I that it's not going on inside the house.
Right.
But yeah, it's two different worlds and hard to get out of this one sometimes.
Yeah, and um I say all the time, like Sam will look at me and he can see the look in my head and he goes, "Are you writing in your head?" Because that's what I say. I'm writing in my head, you know.
Absolutely.
I tell people that it's like I'm living, but it's like I also see a live movie playing out
Yep.
in front of me while I'm trying to live in the regular
Yes.
world.
Yes.
It's hard sometimes,
Yes.
but I
I
love that place.
yeah, it's a great place to be, and and that's why it's so fun to talk to other writers because one of my first writing conferences, the MC got up there, and I was at a hotel, and she said, and I'd never heard this before, and she said, "Now, please remember, we are a guest at this hotel. We're a big group, so please be kind to the normals." And I thought, yes,
Normals,
that's exactly
the
right,
people that don't think like you. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
the normal people.
yeah. Um, so do you have somewhere God has downloaded ideas for me through dreams. I've had ton of book ideas in the airport. Lots of different
Oh,
airports. Do you have places in your world, in your life where you're like, "Oh man, I've gotten a lot of book ideas from this or from that," or is it just scattered?
it's scattered. Heidi Jo, it's so random. Yeah, all over the place. Sometimes an idea will pop into my head. Sometimes uh, I'll see an article and I'll read something and I'll go, "Oh, that's interesting." And in craft, you know this when you're developing ideas, the what if question is so powerful to go, "Well, what if you took a sip of something at a bar and it transported you in time?
Yeah.
What if?" And so I'll tell you one, this is a fun one. I had a uh under contract, this particular contract, it was a 5 book contract. So I needed to come up with my next book idea. And I said, "Darcy, any ideas? Any ideas for my next book?" She goes, "Jim, look at this little lake that you and I live on."
Mm.
And when the boys were young, because we bought this place in 2001, so we've been coming here when the boys were young for, eons.
So this
And we
place
would,
really represents your writing career.
oh, absolutely, without
That's the
question.
coolest. Sorry, I just had to side note that a little. Go right back to what you were saying.
Yeah, without question. And this will amplify it a little bit. So when the boys were young, we used to go down to the end of the lake, the 69 acres there.
Hmm.
And my friend Heidi Jo can picture this because she can see it right out her window right now. So at the end of the lake, there is this big, huge bank of cattails and then some
Hmm.
trees. And then beyond that, there's this huge meadow, 69 acres of meadow. And when the boys were young, we used to swim through the cattails, part them, create a little tunnel, a little
Wow.
path, walk in there, and then we'd be up in the field. And I would tell the boys, I'd say, "We have just entered a magical realm. We have entered another dimension, and this and this and this is going on." And so Darcy goes, "Well, why wouldn't you write it on the corridor? Write a story about the corridor." And so I
Mm,
came up with this idea. What if there was this legendary lost corridor at the end of this lake that if you could find it and get through to the other side, you would get what you want most in the world.
mm.
And so there you go. That was the story idea. And then it's called The Long Journey to Jake Palmer. And
Oh,
I used Leonard, who used to live across the
yeah,
lake.
Leonard
Leonard.
Benneberg. I've known him
Yeah.
my whole life.
Okay, your whole life. So I
Yeah,
took him. I go, he is a great, as you know, he
he's a
is a great
great character.
character.
Yeah.
And so I just picked him up and stuck him in my book, and I stuck this in the book, and I stuck this in the book. So
Mhm.
if you ever read that book, you're going to be going, "Oh my gosh,
I totally know that.
I
Yeah,
know
that's
all
awesome.
of this."
Well, it's
So,
too bad you weren't around when Rattlesnake Charlie lived where Leonard used to live because
oh,
that I'll have to tell you that story. You might have to pick it up. But
okay.
yeah, so cool. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. For me, writing is definitely, I think I can hear it in already what you're saying. You're definitely much more fantasy, writer. I'm guessing. I'm always
Yes,
trying to
yeah,
first
I
book of stuff.
definitely. There's not a lot of good definitions for what I write, and my publisher and my agent both say you kind of created your own genre.
Yeah,
But
I
the
understand that.
best the best way to describe it is contemporary, ordinary um, settings where fantastical things
Oh, I
happen.
like that. I
Probably the
like
best.
that very much. And I think one thing I like about that sticks out to me is that you're giving people the privilege, you're giving readers the privilege to be able to look at something ordinary and imagine in the extraordinary.
Ooh, well
When
said.
you can
You
take
should be
that.
a writer. That was good.
Thank you. But I mean, really, it's pretty amazing. And so, probably for myself, when people would ask me, "What do you write?" I used to always say, "Oh, I write historical Christian fiction," but that's not so true anymore. Now I write a lot of present day stuff. So I think so much of what I do is definitely my ministry heart, because everything about me is ministry, wanting people to see truth, understand truth, know Jesus in a whole new way, come to um, see that he sees them in their worst, at their best, and what does that look like? And so, what do you have a passion driving you because you're a Christian? Do you have a passion driving you that way, or is it the story?
It's I know all the brokenness that I have gone through. I know all the trauma I have gone through. I know all the ways the enemy has tried to take me out. And so what I am driven to do in my writing is process that and figure that out. And so writing for me is cathartic. Writing for me is healing. Writing for me is being willing to go into the deepest, darkest, most painful
Mm-hmm.
aspects of my life and then put them in a public forum. And what comes out of that is I'm not unique.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone goes through, or at least a lot of
Yeah.
people will have gone through the same thing I've gone through. So it's a chance for me to offer them freedom and
Mm,
say,
good.
there is freedom in this process. If you are willing to feel like you're one of my characters, if you're willing to open up your
Mm,
heart as you are reading this, then there is going to be healing and freedom for you. So
yeah.
my definition of success, I have two definitions of success. I'll give you the serious one first,
Okay.
is if I can set one person free,
Mm,
uh, if I can set one person free, then all right, mic drop, I'm done, right? Go out
yeah.
the door.
Yeah.
And this was, I don't know, this was probably September, and we were selling this stair stepper piece of exercise equipment.
Okay.
Uh, and and this gal from Wenatchee said, "Oh, I'll buy it." She came up, opened the door. "Hi, how are you?" And she stares at me and then she goes, "Oh my gosh, are you James L. Rubart?"
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I said, "Well, I'm Jim, but
But yeah.
I know the guy." She says, "Oh my gosh, you changed my life. Your books have changed
Oh
my life." And you just go, "Okay, it's over. I'm done, right? I don't have to
yeah.
do anything else." So
What a cool moment though.
it's it is, but it's you realize in that moment you realize you have partnered with the spirit to do
Absolutely.
something that brought hope and healing to somebody.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
that's the core of it for me.
I'll let you tell your funny one in just a second, but I had a reader say to me one time that she read my books to her boys, to her young boys, because she wanted them to become good men, like I wrote about, good father figures, good husbands. And she wanted them to learn how to pray because I write a lot of prayers. My
Mm,
characters pray a lot, so not all of them, but some of them. So I had a lot of prayers in there. And she goes, I wanted them to learn how to pray like that, and same thing. I was like, okay,
yeah.
if that's the only thing I do,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
I get that. I get that. Okay, now tell me your funny one.
Um, so I was at a marketing seminar. Again, I was an ad guy. I was at a marketing seminar years ago. It was like 2000, and the leader of the seminar said there was 12 of us,
Hmm.
and he said, "What's your definition of success? How do you know you've made it? What's the moment where you pop the champagne cork?" That's good to know. And what popped into my mind, and I had not even started writing rooms at this point, so it was kind of a ludicrous definition of success. But again, that dream was always there. It just Darcy it needed to
To
be
go for a
released.
fast for 3 days,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And so I said, my definition of success is when someone I don't know recommends my own novel back to me.
Oh, that's good. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that has happened in a way probably 4 or 5 times where you
Oh,
just
that's
go.
super cool.
In fact, I was at Easter with my family in the Seattle area, and my nephew says, "Well, hey, I met somebody just the other day, and he was talking about books, and he said, 'Oh, I just love this James L. Rupert.'" And Paul goes, "Well, that happens to be my uncle." So I
That's
guess
awesome.
that's kind of I guess
Yeah,
that's kind of an example of that. So
yeah.
yeah,
So there's a lot of people that are going to listen, and they're going to that hopefully, I mean, I'm guessing lots of writers and or aspiring writers.
sure.
Um, what are some key things apart from don't listen to the lies and just keep writing? What are some key things that you can offer to them, to help them, to encourage them, and to help them keep moving forward?
Two thoughts. One that is I'm not going to call it a harsh truth, but I'm going to call it a reality that
Mhm.
aspiring writers have to embrace. And that is there's this old story about the brain surgeon and the author who bump into each other in the spring at a coffee shop. They hadn't seen each other in a while. And the surgeon says, "Oh my gosh, it is so fantastic to see you. And gosh, how timely to bump into you because I'm taking 3 months off this summer and I'm going to write a novel." And the novelist says, "Oh, I love coincidences. What a coincidence. I'm taking 3 months off this summer and I'm going to become a brain
Brain
surgeon."
surgeon.
And let me put it this way. To start getting paid as a doctor, where you're doing your,
Mhm.
I don't know if you call it internship or your paid internship. I'm not sure
Right.
what you call that, but
Residency.
residency. Thank you,
Residency.
Heidi
Yeah.
Jo. That happens in year 8
Hmm.
for doctors. They
Yeah.
start getting paid for being a doctor in year 8. The average novelist takes 10 years.
Yeah, I can see
So it
that.
actually is harder to become a novelist than it
Than a
is a doctor.
doctor.
Because we've been writing all our life, we think, well, I can write a novel.
Right.
No, it's hard work. It's
Hmm.
really hard work. So
It's very hard work.
if you want to be a novelist, I'm just saying, be willing to put in the hard work
Yeah.
to do it. So that's the reality. But the good news is most people don't. So there actually is actually more room at the top than you would think.
There you
So,
go. I think that's actually really good wisdom. I kind of, like you, Satan came in and tried to squash me pretty quickly, and then he squashed me again, to
yep,
try to get
yep,
me not to do it. And
yep.
it finally took me. I've always been an avid reader. I started reading at the age of 4, and I've been a voracious reader. But I never thought of myself as a writer because my sister Sherry, my oldest sister, she was the best storyteller. She would always be writing. And so I'm like, there can only be one,
Right,
like in the
right,
family. And so
right.
I just never thought about it.
Yeah.
And but one day in college, I was reading a book and I got really angry at the ending. And I love books. I don't abuse books. I don't even like to crack the
Right.
spine. I'm so
Yeah,
careful with them. Matter of
yeah.
fact, if I like a book, I'll buy a couple copies so I can read one of them casually and save the other
I
one to
have
look
one.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got really mad at the ending of this book and I threw it on the ground and I said, I can do better than that. And that was actually the first time.
Love
I mean,
that.
I think God was like waiting for me to say something. He was like, finally. And I wrote a book and it was crap. I mean, it was utter crap. I
Sure,
just, but I
sure.
wrote it. I
Yeah, you did
start
it.
all the way and finish. And just that alone to complete something. I mean, it was
Yes.
by no way publishable, it was by no way edited, but to take an entire thought,
Yes.
concept and go from start to finish, that's probably one of the hardest things. I think when
Oh,
people think to start a novel, it's like, it's not a story.
right.
I mean, and I don't know how you do it, but I've been thinking a lot, how do I create things? What does it look like if I were to say this out to people? And I always think that I write more epic stories. They've got layers of characters and there's all these layers. And it's not just like one storyline in a sense, even though they all follow a specific theme. Usually I wake up at the end of it and go, oh, that is a theme, specific theme.
Yeah.
But I tend to start writing. I'll write like the main storyline, and then partway through, I'll be like, oh, here's another character set that comes along in it. And I don't know if you're cognitively think of that when you're writing. Do you, or is it just you just are creating?
You're a pantser.
Oh, what does that
Right?
mean?
Okay, so in writing, you have the pantsers who write by the seat of their pants. They just sit
Oh,
down and start writing, and oh, this would be a good character, and oh, this would be good. And it sounds like that's how you're much more of a discovery writer.
well, no, I'm also a
No,
planner.
you are a planner.
I am a planner because I will okay, it's both. No, that's super. That's a good question. That's a good conversation. It's both. I started out, I would outline, not not in the technical writing way
Right.
outline, but my own form of outline. I
Yeah.
would outline what I was going to write, and that's how I stayed on point. But
Okay.
I would always discover there was always things that would pop in that I
Yes.
had no idea was coming. So that's why I laugh at people when they'll say, "Oh, I totally knew that was coming." I'm like, "Well, then you knew more than the writer because I didn't know that was
Yeah.
coming." You
Yeah.
know. Uh,
Yeah.
but now, okay, I could probably lean a little bit to what you just said. I've never, just recently in the last 5 years, 3 years, I have started to write a little more off the cuff or
Okay.
pants off the
Yeah.
seat of my pants. But I still have the vision of where it's going.
Okay. Yes.
Um, but yeah, I can see what you're saying. So
Yeah.
explain your concept more so others can give me all the sides of things from your viewpoint or a writing world viewpoint.
How you mean how I do it? How I
No, no, like you said, I'm a right off the seat of my pants, or are there different things that you would call it?
Yeah, so a pantser right by the seat of your pants is one extreme,
Hmm.
and then the other extreme is the outliner where they outline everything in the book and they know the whole book before
Yeah,
anything
they even
happens,
start. Yeah,
before they even start. And some people are, and usually people are somewhere in between. So it sounds like
I'm
I
I'm in the
got a
middle.
I got a pretty good structure. So
Hmm.
I've got some pretty good architectural plans for my house that I'm building. But as I'm going, oh, no, 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 we need to expand the kitchen a little bit. Or, oh, let's
Yes.
put one more room here, where
Yeah.
you're kind of a hybrid combination of it,
Hmm.
which is a great way to write because you have a structure, but you also allow the spirit to do things you were not expecting. So,
Yes. And
so
I had to grow into that.
okay,
I
yeah,
did, because I am very much a very structured person. So I had to kind of grow into that.
and
I
allow
think
that to
I've
happen.
always had a little bit of that on the side, but I think my structure kind of would shove it to the side.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure,
So
yeah.
how do you write?
Uh, I'm probably an extreme pantser. I
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
It
you
doesn't surprise me at
knowing me, you're
all.
going, well, of course, Jim, I know you.
I know.
So yeah, literally, I will have an idea, and then I'll just start writing, and then I'll write another scene or another scene, and sometimes I'll get 5 sentences, and that's it, and it stops, and then the movie starts playing somewhere else, and that stops.
Okay.
And I'm very much Stephen King has a book. He is an extreme pantser, and he has a book on writing. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's
No.
an excellent book on writing, and he says for me, I let the boys in the basement do their work. By that, he means his subconscious is always
Hmm.
churning with ideas. And then when he sits down, he just lets the boys in the basement surface and go, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this?
Okay.
And so that's very much how I write. So I, the most extreme example of it is my third novel called The Chair. I had 60,000 words written before it was in any kind of order, before I knew what it was about, before I knew the
Oh
theme,
my gosh, that
anything.
would stress me so out.
And yeah, and so that's just me. It's my personality. And so at that point, 60,000 words, what I do, and usually it's about 30,000 words, I'll stop and I'll write out sticky notes. It used to be 3x5 cards, but now it's, do I have an example? It, so I'll write the scene down on a sticky note.
Yeah.
And so it's only a few words. And then I'll write all the scenes down and I literally put them on my wall back here.
Okay.
And then I have to organize them in order.
Wow.
Once I do that, I can see, oh, you're missing a scene here. Oh, you need a scene here. Oh, you need a transition here.
Wow.
So
Okay.
literally, it's all up on the wall.
This is nuts. I mean, that is fascinating. This is such a great conversation because so okay. So one of the things that I tend to do is say I've written, I don't know, 30,000 words, or I do things by chapters in my head. So, but you wouldn't because you're writing all over the place. So, but I will have to go back sometimes and reread everything to kind of tell myself, did I forget something or is there a layer I'm missing? Where you can write and write and write, and then you will stop and start arranging things. That is amazing to me. So
Yeah.
this is such a cool thing because I talk to a lot of people about writing. Um, God actually will highlight writers to me. I can be in the coffee shop and I'm like, oh, that kid's a writer. I could just see them, And so I sometimes I'll wander over and I'm like, hey, what are you writing? I just like because
Yeah.
you want to encourage people.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I get the question a lot, like, well, they're stuck in the design phase.
Well said.
And I say, don't let that stop you. Just relax and just start writing. Don't worry about form and whether you know exactly where it's going. Don't let
Yep.
that stop you from creating.
Yep.
Just start creating. And I said sometimes, just like you just said, sometimes I will be writing entire scenes, but there's another scene playing in my head and I'm like, I got to get that baby down. I
Yep.
know it isn't yet, but I'll
Yeah.
just stop, I'll put a space and I'll just
Yep.
start writing that
Yep.
scene because
Exactly.
otherwise it's irritating me while I'm working on the book.
Right.
And so
Right.
in sense it's similar, except I could never do what you do. That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Well,
Wow.
I will say well, thank you, but I will say the other side of it. A friend of mine wrote a phenomenal book called The Snowflake Method of Writing a Novel. And
Oh,
it is, if you don't have that book, Heidi Jo, you should buy
I'll
it
write it down.
because
I'm writing it down.
his name is Randy. And you know that old joke, it's like, don't be intimidated by this person. It's not like they're a rocket scientist. Well, Randy is a rocket
He's a rocket
scientist.
scientist.
Yeah, he has his PhD in physics to give you an idea of his
Oh, wow.
intellect. So I was intimidated by Randy for a long time, but it turns out he's just a
Regular.
wonderful human being. And and so he wrote this book, How to Write a Novel Using the Snowflake Method.
Okay.
And then he hired me to narrate the audio version of the
Oh,
book.
okay.
And so as I'm reading the book, I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is absolutely a brilliant way to write a novel, but
Okay.
it's full outline mode. But I tried it. I just thought, I got to try this. This is so good. And I just couldn't do it. I just
Mm. Your
couldn't do
brain
it.
doesn't work that
So
way.
yeah, it's just my brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So
And that's, I think, where I'm at with a lot of, probably the hardest thing. I know that you've done a lot of, like you had your own podcasts and you've done a lot of teaching and a lot of, interaction with people. Um, But I think for me, when I would walk alongside mostly young people, because I was in the school system, but when I'd walk alongside them as writers, it was always working really hard to let their voice always stay, you
yeah,
know,
that's
to help them with, grammatical things, copy editing, conceptual ideas, or, you know, asking them the right questions so they could see, oh, my readers would be lost, that kind of thing. Um, but I never wanted to force people into my form of writing.
good.
I would
Yeah.
always say, hey, this is one form.
Yes, one way.
But it
Of
doesn't have to be this way. But if that fits for you, or if something fits for
so
you,
good.
grab a hold of that. Throw the rest out. You don't have
Yeah,
to do it my way. You're going, it's your story, but you do need to, I mean, maybe you don't think this way. I'm always thinking of my audience when I'm writing, always. I don't know if you think that way.
I don't.
Okay,
I
but
don't.
that actually doesn't surprise me with you, Jim, because you are more fly by the seat of your pants creating. So that makes sense. And part of the reason I think of my audience is because one of my goals when I started writing was my middle sister. I don't even know if she knows this, um, but my middle sister, Lori, she was never a really big reader. And my
Mhm.
oldest sister and I were crazy. We loved books, we just ate them. And I always was bummed that she was missing so much because she
Oh
wasn't a
yeah, this
reader.
world. Yeah.
And so I really paid attention to her and thought she has to have something that really grabs her instantly. And it has to move fast enough, not losing any of the good, form, because you have to have the form to build a good novel, but to move in such a pace that she doesn't lose interest, that she wants to read all the way to the end. And so as I write, and maybe that's the teacher in me, but as I write, I used to always hold her in my thoughts because I'm like, if I could reach Lori, then I can
Yeah.
reach anybody,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you're just kind of, I'm just doing my thing. That's you.
Yeah. It's a friend of mine who was actually one of my writing heroes, and then we became friends, which is such an amazing bonus of being in this industry. I had four, my big four that I were my main inspiration, and
Can
I've
I ask you
and
who
I've
they
met
are?
and become friends with all of them, which is kind
Oh,
of
wow.
nuts, which is really fun. But he said to me, this friend said to me years ago, he goes, "Yeah, my novels are just my personal journals in published form."
Mm,
And when I heard that, I thought, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly right. That's me too." And
mhm,
so, because writing teachers will tell you, yeah, first novel is always autobiographical. You got to get that out of your system, and then you start writing the real novels.
mm,
And I thought, oh, all my novels are autobiographical. I mean, all of them. And so people who know me, and as you read Rooms, and if you read other of my novels, you go, oh my gosh. I just take people from real life. I take things I'm struggling with. I take things that are
mm.
difficult for me. I take things that the enemy is trying
Yeah,
to attack me with,
of course.
and the writing is a way, it is my personal journals. It's a way
Mhm,
to work out my struggle. It's a way to push through that. It's a way to figure out what the Lord is teaching me and shaping me and molding me
yeah.
into. So in that sense, I'm writing for my own healing. But the
Mhm,
gift is, like I said before, the gift is in a way I am thinking of the reader because I want to give this to the reader and go,
right.
can you relate to any of this?
Yeah,
And the readers are going to go, more than you know, Jim. Thank you for
yeah.
being so vulnerable, so real on the
Mhm.
page, so authentic from your personal journals
Yes.
that I can go, all right, there's hope for freedom and healing for me too. So
Mhm.
I hope that makes sense.
No,
But
I
I'm
think it
really
makes
writing is
total
working out,
sense.
working out what the Lord's doing in my life and then sharing it with people in the hopes that it can set them free too.
Yeah. Sam said to me one time, because you can get discouraged, obviously, as a writer, just as you
Yeah.
can as a regular person, just doing regular stuff. Um, but I was just sometimes because I do so much. I'm in ministry, and I'm a writer, and my writing is also ministry. But
Sure.
so in that world, probably about, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, I was just really feeling like in the world I was in, that the Christian leadership and stuff around me, it's like they would almost look at Christian novels as like, oh, that's not really serious, unless it's something written, a nonfiction book that's going to change somebody's
Yeah.
life and give them, this
Yeah.
and that. And, I was wrestling with that at that time. And my husband brilliantly said to me, he said, Heidi, he said, people are more willing to relax and listen to your character tell them something, or walking through that life, for them to go, oh my gosh, that's me. and I want to make that change too. He said, that is so much more palatable. That's my word. Sam would never use palatable, but it's so much more palatable than it is to have somebody come right at you and say it. And, bless God for giving him the wisdom in that moment, because I have held that ever since. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. It's a gift to be able to take, all the ugly things and all the amazing thing that God's done with the ugly, and to share it vulnerably through characters and instances, and allow people to be encouraged by it, find healing from it, be set free from it, whatever. And so I saw that as a really amazing word.
Oh, that is so powerful. And
Strengthen.
in fact, I was just at a writing conference last week, and I was teaching, and I said, do not, and I was teaching novel writing. I said, do not let anybody tell you what
Yeah.
you are doing is not vitally important. I said, what is the
Yeah.
best-selling book of all time? Well, it's the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what is the core? What is the absolute center of that book? Well, it's the Gospels. It's
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. It's, everything emanates from that center point. And I said, so essentially what you're telling me, in the best-selling book of all time, the main character of that book was what? He was a fiction writer.
Yeah.
Jesus taught in fiction,
In parables. Yeah.
and he didn't teach
Mm-hmm.
anything except fiction. So these
Yeah.
preachers are
I
saying,
have thought of
"Oh, we
that
have to,"
too.
it's like,
Yep.
okay, Jesus taught in fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't still work. So,
Yeah. No, that is so good, because God did speak that to me. He said, excuse me, but I taught in parables. What is that? And so he
yeah,
gave that to me.
yeah,
That gave me the validity from the Lord to say,
yes,
yes,
yes.
Lord. So that is so good. I have really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I always tell Sam, why haven't we invited them over to our house to dinner? They don't even have to come far. They could walk.
Well, we're just so far away.
I
I think it would
Who it's
take
far.
probably, it would take 10 minutes to walk to your house.
I could take that. Darcy would know exactly, because she walks it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, is there something that you have that you haven't said, or something about yourself that you'd want people to know? Some last great word, or just funny word, whatever, that you would like to leave the readers, not the readers, the listeners today?
That ultimately it's not about the writing.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's not about the writing. It is, you could be a chef, you could be a travel guide, you could be, any number of things in your life. You could be working at the school, as a janitor. It's allowing the circumstances you're in, and by circumstances, I mean the Lord has called you to write.
Mhm.
As a writer, it's not about the writing in the sense that the Lord is using the writing to shape you and mold you and turn you in more to the likeness of his son.
That's
And when
good.
you keep that in mind, that this is a process to equip me to love others more fully, you
Mhm.
go, okay. At that point, everything that happens within your writing career has a purpose. Rejection, disappointment, all those sides of it are shaping and molding you. The things that
Yeah.
work, the awards, the accolades, all that he is using to shape you. And so if you keep that in mind, that all of this is to make you more like Jesus,
Mhm.
then it's all good.
That's a great word, and very true. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know you're a busy guy, but I'd love to have you back. Tell us what you're doing and all your projects. We didn't get into that, but I just kind of wanted people to know you, to meet you, to
Sure. Yeah.
get to know somebody I know. And I'll say I really enjoyed the conversation on the writing. I can't believe we've never had that before.
I know. I know. So true.
But I would love to have you come back and talk about, because you do a lot of audiobooks, but you do it for other people, correct?
I do. Yeah. So I started doing it for myself, for my own books. And then I had author friends that said, "Hey, Jim, can you do my book?" So that's how
Yeah,
it,
that is
um,
such a cool thing. And then did I read correctly that you do have done voiceover? Is that right?
yeah. So I've done voiceover as well, radio spots, TV spots, e-learning, corporate videos, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I just think
yeah,
that would be kind of a fun conversation, that probably a lot of people don't think, oh, maybe that's another way to reach people, to, even if you're writing, and oh, these are other options for you, and what does that look like?
yeah,
So,
for sure.
um, so thank you so much, Jim, and you're welcome back anytime.
Okay, Heidi Jo, yeah, for sure. Let's do it again.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and just have a wonderful day. Bye.